Hello and welcome to the Retail is Detail podcast with your host, Jamie Hamer. The Retail is Detail podcast focuses on technology and innovation in retail with guests from either innovative retail tech players or retailers themselves who are adopting new technologies. We interview founders and C-suite executives from top firms who are changing the retail game for the better and delighting the end consumer. This podcast is brought to you by insurance technology firm Loxa, where I am co-founder. Loxa is on a mission to ensure the future of retail includes fair, transparent, seamless product protection for your most valuable possessions. We work with retailers to offer product protection at the point of sale or direct to customers, designing fair, transparent, easily claimable product protection with the end customer in mind, which is at the heart of everything we do. We've got another brilliant guest for you on the show today. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the Retail is Detail podcast, the retail tech podcast. Excited, a little bit nervous, but I'm joined by a fantastic guest today in Reid Archer of Trade Counter Direct and Pricemaster. Welcome, Reid.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Reid, we've known each other for a little while now, but I'm curious for the background to Trade Counter Direct and to Pricemaster and all the innovative things you've been doing in the retail tech landscape. Just starting with Trade Counter Direct. So you evolved originally from a modest eBay venture into one of the leading online tools website with over 75,000 products at the moment. What were the key pivot points that transformed that business from a small wholesale outlet into a major online player?
Well, it's been over 17 years of just chiseling away. So I couldn't pin one particular thing. It's just lots and lots and lots of trying, failing, just seeing how things go, really. So we've kind of scaled up with the team. And as you get better team, you just get more skill sets that come on. And we've kind of all learned and grown together. We've changed platforms a couple of times. We started on a custom PHP thing like way before Shopify or any of those other platforms existed. And then we switched to Magento, which again got us to another level and helped us sort of scale up to where we are now, which is, like you said, 75,000 products. It's quite a beast of a site.
I'm interested. You have various platforms within your business. You've got Shopify websites like Ikoki Powertools Direct, where we're live with Loxa, and Magento websites like Trade Counter Direct. What are your thoughts on those various platforms? You post about Magento versus Shopify a lot, and so curious for your perspective and what you'd recommend to e-commerce merchants nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much down to the person. I don't want to say one thing's bad or good. They both serve different purposes. You know, our decision to go with Magento originally was flexibility. We wanted to customize as much as we could. We thought we could scale heavily on that platform. It's slower and it has its challenges and its issues. I wouldn't recommend it if you don't have a dev background or you have a good dev team behind you. It's more challenging. Shopify is very easy if you want to get a site done quickly, scale up, no issues. You don't need to want to have too many bells or whistles on it. We now have 7 Shopify stores and 1 Magento store. So we're easing towards the ease of Shopify for us. And we've also built Pricemaster, our pricing tool, on the Shopify app store as well. So it's a plug and play option for that. So we're kind of leaning a little bit more towards the Shopify side of things. And I do feel they're maybe a little bit more future proof than a Magento. But again, we'll see the outcome.
Awesome. What do you think some things that Shopify has done well to take market leadership here in the UK?
Just, again, the plug and play thing, but the fact that it's very difficult to break, you can kind of push it and know that you're not going to just shut everything down. So it gives people a lot more sort of comfortableness to get on and try things, knowing that they're not going to destroy the entire website, which unfortunately, you can do with other platforms.
And why tools in the first place?
Well, I kind of started with trainers on eBay, and that was like a bit of a side hustle. And then I joined as a designer in a marketing team for my dad's company, and he had a plumbing business. And when I stopped selling trainers, I was looking for other things to sell online. So I kind of looked at what was in the warehouse and said, let me have a go. Let me try and sell this on eBay. And it kicked off really quickly. So we realized that there was a niche there that, and this is 17 years ago. So when Amazon still only did books, we doubled down and thought, right, let's go into e-commerce. And it kind of went from there.
And what are some of the quirks of the tools industry? both back then and nowadays? How has it changed, and what makes it different than other industries?
A million things, probably. It's a very competitive market. There's lots of people. Pricing is a big thing. It's pretty cutthroat. It's who can buy the most, gets the best pricing. It's a rebate based industry as well, which is challenging for businesses because it eats up cash flow. You could be owed hundreds of thousands to millions of pounds worth of rebate that you don't actually get your hands on until a year's time. That's another challenge within this industry. I don't know if it's the same in others, but it's quite heavy in Powertools.
And how did that come about? Like if you look at other industries where a retailer might make a straight margin, on tools you have to make the initial margin and then the rebate. Why has that happened historically, and why do retailers put up with it?
I think it's probably like a sales incentive based thing. So it's kind of like if you do 2 million next year, you'll get this much rebate. And if you don't, then we reduce the rebates. It seems to be a way for the larger brands to manipulate growth and focus into their brand. So it's very much in power tools. That's the way it goes. It's not so much in other hand tools or other things. Not everyone does it. But if I could change anything, I would probably say rebates are more of a pain in the ass than they are a good thing.
That speaks to the power of the big brands in power tools and how you have to distribute them.
It's kind of been ever since we started, it's always been the case. It's kind of just baked into the industry and everyone expects it and everyone has to work around it. It has its benefits. It's kind of cash that you can't spend essentially. So it's kind of stuck there. But as a business, cash flow is king. You kind of want that cash at the same time. So there's pros and cons, I think, for it. Personally, I'd rather just deal with, here's the price, you go and do the best you can.
And related to that, you posted today about the disruption and change in the industry, the fall of FFX, the fall of Homebase, the fall of Troy. Are these related to that rebate system at all? And how have those disruptions affected the industry?
I don't think the rebates have helped that. Again, probably with the likes of FFX, having a lot of cash held up somewhere is difficult. It's been a very disruptive year in our industry, to be fair, with big players that you just wouldn't expect. You thought were solid, everything was fine, have fallen. And in the wake of that, it's disrupted, smaller retailers like us, bigger retailers, and the brands even more so. So, the DeWalt's of the world and Milwaukee's of the world have had to pick up quite a big tab from this loss. It's been it's been challenging. We've had to work very differently this year than we have previous, and it's been super disruptive in every single area. So it's been a challenging 12 months, you could say. And I think that would be across the board for everyone in this game at the minute.
Just touching on Troy specifically, which was a buying group that went into administration earlier this year that I believe you bought from directly. Like what does that say? What does that mean for NMBS, the largest buying group? How does that shift the dynamics in the tools online industry?
I think the insurers play a big part of it. And I think that was a squeeze that probably was the end of Troy, is because that was cash flow again. I would say that might have an effect on the likes of NMBS. Insuring the industry at the minute is probably going to be harder because there's been so many big losses. But at the same time, there's less buying groups. So a flood probably went into NMBS from Troy. It's not good for the industry. I don't think anyone would have wanted this to happen in any way whatsoever. I think a more stable environment is competition, multiple buying groups, multiple choice. So I think it was an all-round upsetting sort of not good thing for the whole industry.
And how are you seeing buying habits change with tradespeople, contractors, construction companies, and how is that affecting your businesses?
Business for us as being a part of the industry, we feel it and we know what's going on. I think for the end user, there's not really been much awareness of any of these changes. So buying habits are fairly steady. The market as a whole is a bit flat at the minute. I'm not hearing, we speak to lots of people in the industry, and I don't really hear many great stories at the minute that we're flying here and this is really taking off. It's all a little bit, we're consolidating, I would say, at the minute, and the market's just a little bit flat. But I don't think it's affecting the end user. I just think the end user still needs their tools, and they don't know who Troy is. They don't know what any of this is really.
Have you heard any of any sort of shifts in dynamic of what tradespeople are looking for an online tool offering? I mean, certainly the trend is massively towards online purchase, which is now almost 50% of tools. But any other trends that are really meaningful to you?
The insurance side of things was a great sort of add-on for us. You know, we're always trying to look for added value for the customers and the end user. So for me, offering an insurance offering to our end users was something I'd sort of looked at and tried before, but the tech stack of it wasn't really working. It was kind of tried to be like levied in at the last minute, and it didn't work. So when I saw what you guys were doing and the tech and how it just kind of flowed through that purchase, and it allowed the end user just that flickable choice of, actually, I want insurance on this one thing. I really like that flow. And for us, I've always wanted something that I could upsell that was digital, in the sense that I didn't need a forklift truck to sort of shift back and forth with. So it was refreshing to be able to have another offering that was kind of managed professionally by yourselves and then just neatly fitted into our tech stack. It's been a good little sort of new offering for our customers.
Thanks for bringing that up, Reid. For context, we are offering tool insurance through Loxa on Reid's Hikogi Powertools Direct and Trade Counter Direct websites. How has that integration and experience gone for you thus far?
Again, nice and easy with Shopify. As it is, like I was saying before, the plug and play thing's a little bit more straightforward. It looks really nice. It fits well on the page. It's really, all the information the end user needs is there. It makes the decision really simple. And then how it flows through to the cart is very clear. Because we're fairly early starting with this, we don't know what the whole ecosystem's like afterwards. So, we haven't quite got to the point where someone's had a damage or a loss or a sale and they need to do anything yet. So it'll be interesting to see how that whole ecosystem works. But as far as integrating it and getting it in front of people, it's been great.
Awesome. Looking forward to coming back to you for some claim replacement sales.
Yeah. Perfect.
And when I approached you about this, you were pretty much instantly like, yep, been looking to do that. Looks great. Would love to do it. Didn't need a lot of social proof. You just wanted to, if you like something, you go for it. Has that always been the case for you? And have you always championed new technologies?
It's probably, yeah. I would rather say yes and give it a go than no. But on this instance, it was something that I wanted to do anyway. I wanted it for the customers. I tried before and it failed. And a lot of people within the company were like, let's not do it again. That didn't work. But I liked the tech stack and how it looks. My mentality, and it's maybe to my detriment in certain instances, is to give everything a go, give it a try. There's only two outcomes. It's going to work or it's not going to work. And I'd rather find out.
That's an awesome attitude. And moving on to new technologies, we'd love to talk more about Pricemaster. So Pricemaster is something you developed yourself that it ensures dynamic pricing, so you never fall below target margins and you stay competitive for real-time comparisons between competition or comparable SKUs. How can dynamic pricing change e-commerce retail?
Well, it's been in retail for a long time. For us, how we were looking at what are the fundamentals of business and of retail and trading. And there's two in my mind. It's a price and service. And if you get those two things right, then you're off and you're fine. I think that in e-commerce, there's a million things that you can do, whether it's SEO, making the site a little bit faster, marketing. There's a lot of trends that happen and there's a lot of things that you can sort of get carried away with. But if the fundamentals aren't right, which are is your price right and is your service good, I just think the whole thing falls over. I did a post. I don't think anyone's emailing Jeff Bezos saying, could you make sure your prices are higher and don't deliver so fast? These are fundamental things that will always, and in 20 years' time, they will still matter, even with all the changes that we'll see. So for us to develop something that was in the fundamental section of e-commerce was important. And as a business, we'd struggled to manage that as well. We had 75,000 products. Very competitive marketplace. We have lots of stock movements. We have high stock, low stock. So we had to build something that was dynamic for us, that could manage such scale. And in doing so, we realized that we'd stumbled upon like a very, very powerful tool that if it was put into anyone's hands, they could really benefit from it. So it came from our own development and us doing it for ourselves, and it works for us. And then we thought, right, well, let's get this out to everyone.
Oh, you're effectively your own first customer, which is a great position to be in. How
Yeah.
has it gone?
Yeah, very, very well. I mean, we have used other dynamic tools in the past, but what we found with those is they did help us. We had to, at the scale of the business, we had to have something like that, but they were kind of race to the bottom a little bit. There was not much flexibility. It was very much just be the cheapest and £1 cheaper. And then everyone just suddenly scales right down to the bottom and then there's no money. So we wanted to develop something that kind of counteracted that bad part of retail. So we've got tools within Pricemaster that periodically go and put prices up to try and drag the market up and bring pricing up and to find your margin. And the culture of it is that it's a tool for people to use to not just race to the bottom. It's to find pockets of margin where you can, to do multiple tests over different brands, different categories, different segments of your business, to really have an understanding and have the ability to sort of find pockets of margin everywhere. It's a much more dynamic tool than we think that we've used previously.
When you're talking to other retailers about this, what's the biggest misconception they have about AI-powered pricing?
I think that the main thing is it's the race to the bottom. And that's it. You just be the cheapest and then someone else does it and then it just kind of rolls down. I think that isn't a misconception. I think that is what happens. But if this is what we're trying to change, is we're trying to build in tools and alerts to show you that you don't have to be the bottom. You should test your positions. You should A/B test your pricing. You shouldn't just be one rule, everything. You just be the cheapest now on everything. It's a bad pricing strategy. So the whole point is for people to understand and build a strategy into every little segment of their offering.
What advice would you give to a more traditional retailer that's never adopted any pricing automation? What would be the key things to consider before you take that plunge?
Well, I think it's very obvious quickly using these tools how much money people leave on the table on a regular basis. If you just set your price to 20% across the board and just leave it, you might be 5% lower than you need to be. And if you do that on 75,000 products, that adds up very, very quickly to just leaving money on the table. And your customers as well, you've got to think of your customers. If you have a return customer and they bought from you and then the next day they see that your competitor dropped the price and had a deal and you didn't do the same thing, then you've lost that customer. They'll either return the goods and buy from them, or they'll say, next time I'm going to buy from over there because they were off on price. So with a dynamic pricing tool, you're looking at the market, you will always be at the price you should be. So, and that doesn't mean the cheapest, that just means the right price. And that goes for whether you're selling a Rolex, you've still got to be in the same ballpark as your competitors, or if you're selling a pencil, you still need, they will judge you on what price you sold, whether it's too high or too low. So it's about being the right price.
So you mentioned that returns. I mean, how common is that someone will buy something, cancel or return it just because they see a better price the next day or just after it's delivered?
Very, very common. Yeah. People try it on a lot of the time as well. People are smart buyers and they do their research. Especially if it's a big high purchase buy. We sell things at £7,000 down to things that are 15p, but people will still go and have a little look, and so they should. There's a big market out there. You need to make sure you get the right price. And people, if in the past, we don't have this very often now because our pricing is in the right ballpark on everything most of the time. But in the past, if someone bought something and they saw it, they'd either say, hey, I want a refund. You need to match that price or I'm going to send it back. Customers know their rights. They can send it back. So you just have to suck it up and take it back. So it's best to get it right in the first instance.
Would you typically then match that price if someone said that? Or would you accept the return? What's easier for you and what do you do the majority of the time?
In the past, when this was a common occurrence, it doesn't happen to us much anymore because we can prove instantly before they even purchase that our price is right. But in the past, we would look after the customer. So you would say, listen, you've already bought it. We'll give you a partial refund and send it out. But that causes more manual work for us. It's not the smoothest transaction for them. We say get it right before they purchase and be confident that your price is right.
So looking at Pricemaster, you developed a Shopify app, you talking to a number of retailers, doing a number of bespoke and more plug and play integrations.
Yeah.
How you develop that strategy? Why Shopify first? And what is your go to market for Pricemaster specifically?
So it was Shopify first, again, because of ease and market. It's without doubt the biggest marketplace. They have an app store as well, which is a good place to be noticed. We have 7 stores on Shopify, so we just kind of felt that would be the most appropriate place to go. That being said, this plug and plays with anything. It kind of runs on APIs back and forth. So it's not a difficult setup for Magento WooCommerce or any of those other platforms. It's just that it's not like a hit download and it does it. There's a little bit more into it, but still very, very little. So integrations are pretty simple for us.
And what are your goals for Pricemaster? How big do you want this to be?
Well, I mean, we've got to start where we can start. We're a small team and we're still running another business, which, like I said before, is busy in itself. So we're going to start in the UK. We want to get it right. We don't want to run before we can walk, whatever the saying is. So we will start in the UK. We will work with partners and try and be as hands-on with the development and integrating of our first customers. But from there, money is a language all over the world. Margin means the same here as it does the other side of the world. It's just a different symbol at the front of it. And there's a lot of differences in the markets, but this tool will work absolutely anywhere. Our ambition, a big one, would be, to go global and have it as a tool that's used by e-commerce stores all over the world.
Amazing. Excited for that. So obviously you've shifted from, wholesaling, selling on other platforms, selling on your own platform to now selling to other platforms. How have you taken on that mindset shift, and what do you anticipate being the big changes you're going to have to make personally to sell to other retailers?
It is different. In a sense, it's slightly easier for me because I have experience of who I'm selling to. So I'm my own customer. So I know what I would want from a product. I know what I wouldn't want from a product. So when I speak to other people, every interaction I've had in the minute has been a very positive one because we relate instantly to the issues of running an e-commerce store. And I can relate to that probably better than most people after 17 years of being in it. So it is a different tactic, and I'm selling a different thing, and it's a digital product and it's a service. So it is different, but I'm selling to my own kind, you could say. So like I instantly get it.
Awesome. And is your route to market going to be mostly direct sales or trade shows, marketing? How are you thinking about the balance of different ways of reaching retailers?
So again, this is early days for us. We're thinking social media and presence, things like podcasts where I can kind of explain where we've come from, why we built it, what the outcomes were. I think is going to be a good way to get the message across, because it's not a product as such, like a physical drill. This is a tool that allows you to do lots and lots of different things. So getting that message across is a challenge, and it's different. But we will probably stay very digital with that. We'll do, direct Google advertising. We'll advertise on the Shopify app. We'll advertise on social media with video and contents like that. Trade shows, I would love to get out and speak to people as well. So, at this stage, everything and anything.
That sounds great. And you've got a great online presence. You post about controversial topics. How do you think about your founder brand? What does Reid Archer stand for? And how does that help Pricemaster and Trade Counter Direct?
Yeah. I don't really separate the two too much, because it's just what I do. I'm passionate about getting it out there. I'm also just a nerd at heart as well. So I'm super interested in AI. I'm super interested in global events, trading, and all types of things. So I kind of sit and nerd out about a lot of this stuff on my own anyway. So I might as well share some of my insights and bits and pieces on LinkedIn and other places. So it's fun to me. I love tech and I love all this stuff. So it's easy.
Cool. Well, let's talk about global events and AI. So how has tariffs and supply chain issues, how have they affected the tool industry specifically? And what are your predictions for the future in that area?
So tariffs directly to us hasn't been an issue. I'm hearing it from some of the bigger brands. You've got brands like Milwaukee who are big American brands, but a lot's done in China. I have not too much of an insight other than it seems like it's a headache So I think it will continue, and we'll probably see some price fluctuations and some uncertainty. A little bit like when COVID happened, people bulk buying stuff before something might happen, and then overstocking with people trying to clear stock. I'm sure there'll be some disruption for that. And on the AI side of things, a million ways it's going to change. And I think in the same way that the traditional sales companies didn't really see e-commerce coming and being that aggressive and sort of taking that much business, I can see it happening to AI and e-commerce companies. And if we don't keep our focus on what's coming down the road from AI, we might end up in the same position as traditional retailers did when e-com came. So I think it's hard to get a complete focus on what way it's going to go, because there's just so much tech and so much progress coming on at the same time. So it's kind of hard to pin, but something's coming, and it's going to come really fast. And if you don't adopt with it, I think it could be a painful thing for e-com stores.
You posted a lot about AI buying agents and how the way is being paved there. How close are we to that? How big do you think it's going to be in the market? And what does that mean for retailers?
I think every person is going to have their own personal shopper, an AI agent shopper, whether it's your grocery store shopper or it's your fashion person that knows your style, knows when you get paid, knows your budget, knows where you buy from, and knows your buying history, and just learns from that and just goes out and does it for you. I believe we'll give our credit card information to agents, AI agents, and give them a budget, and we'll say, well, I want something like this. And when it hits that price, you go buy it. And I would be extremely shocked if that doesn't come to truth very soon. Visa and lots of other people are building rails onto AI platforms, so that will come soon. It's going to be an interesting change. It doesn't bode well for e-commerce stores, because if it's AI bots going out doing it, then your brand and your store kind of get bypassed, and you're just essentially a product feed and a fulfillment center. So it will be then around how we build our brand around that, and how you get in front of people when it's just bots doing everything for you. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting change. And another thing that I think will be big in e-commerce soon, which is a complete flip of that, is like QVC, the TikTok are doing it quite a lot now, where you go live, it's a human talking, and they're saying, this is my product, it's on sale, answering questions there and then, and doing like flash sales with live sales pitches, essentially. That is huge in Asia and China and all over the place. And it's starting to creep over to here. If you think of how many eyeballs are on social media at the minute, with TikTok, Instagram, and then the e-commerce side, I don't think it's merged properly enough yet. And I think the influencer and the social media side of people looking at that all the time, we haven't quite built in how to sell on that perfectly yet. I think it kind of goes back to, if everything is AI agents, at some point we'll probably go back to, I want to buy from a human, and I want to see that human, and I want to hear that what's going on. So it could be the complete polar opposite of how e-com stores get themselves noticed. If their e-com store is just AI, a door for AI bots to come in, we're going to have to find a different way to say who we are.
And how are you thinking of that in light of Trade Counter Direct and building your brand? And also, what does that mean for pricing?
I think pricing it'll be even more important, because that'll be a very much a boundary that people will set. If you're AI agent, if you speak to it, you'll say, I want these new Jordans, I want them in this color, and when it gets to this price, go buy it. And price will always be something that will come out of someone's mouth. They're not going to say, go buy the most expensive one. They're not going to say, buy one that's overpriced. They'll probably say, I want a good service and a good price. When it gets to that, go get it for me, which could be negative for pricing in the sense that, again, cheapest might win, and you get that buy box thing back again, like you do on Amazon. So yeah, we'll have to watch that space a little bit.
And in terms of the way you see the e-commerce landscape changing, do you think that when the buying is increasingly by blocks and service and price are the key drivers, do you see room for SME brands, or are we going to see significant consolidation?
Well, there'll always be independents and niches. It's always going to be the way. It's whether the giants become serious giants. And Amazon, I mean, their infrastructure is just unbeatable. No one can beat them. I read that they've just released their millionth robot into their system. So they have an infrastructure that will suit this. They have devices in houses. They have fulfillment centers everywhere. So it's going to be hard to compete against that, especially if it sort of narrows down and it's AI that's sort of going to just one or two places. But like anything, everyone finds a way to sell stuff and to build an ecosystem. It might just look a little bit different. It's a hard one to call at the minute. The way things are going, it's just a tricky one. So we kind of watch this space and keep up to date.
A solid hedge, Reid.
Yeah.
What are the biggest opportunities that most retailers are missing in terms of leveraging technology?
Pricemaster, obviously, is a big one. Selling insurance is another one, I'm sure. I don't know. I mean, tech-wise, I think if you're staying on the right platforms, Shopify seem to be a company that are always looking for what's coming next. They drive new ideas. They're building AI co-pilots into the system. Their most recent release was a lot of interesting stuff. So I think being aligned in the right places is important. Staying informed is important, and staying agile. As far as like what tech you can do for that now, in my mind, it is just stay on LinkedIn, hear what people are saying, watch the news, see what's happening and roll with it and find that tech first. That's what I've naturally and organically done all the time. I was the first person to start telling all my friends about ChatGPT, and people telling me to shut up about it quite a lot. I think just staying ahead of the curve, because the curve's coming pretty quick.
Who are some people or sources that you like to follow to stay abreast of this sort of thing and stay on top of it?
I've signed up to the actual OpenAI blog. They have their own blog now. A lot of different AI people on TikTok, on Instagram. There's quite a few. I couldn't name by person, but there's a lot out there. Some are a bit scaremongery, but a lot of them are really informative, and they are making it their job to go out and try and get through the mess of all of the new tech that's coming out and put the right stuff in front of you. So I stay up on my TikTok feed. Most people would think is the most boring thing on earth, but it is all AI and tech driven. Train your algorithm to do that and you'll be all right.
Just turning to the questions we ask every guest. What detail of retail do you enjoy the most? What brought you to this area of industry in the first place?
The detail is, well, it's got to be price again. For me, that is where my detail is. We've invested heavily into making sure that we know we do that right. And so if it comes down to the details and where we focus, price is key. Service, and then tech is kind of the detail. I'm also a designer essentially from the start, so I like things to look pretty as well.
What aspect of the retail industry would you want to change the most?
Again, it's a broken record, but price. I think there is a toxic race to the bottom mentality that it's our challenge to try and change that. We think it's unhealthy for brands, for products, for retailers. We can all compete, but we don't have to compete on the floor. We can compete at a sensible level. I think that's something that is in our core to try and push out and educate through to retailers and brands alike, because brands, products, they spend all this time making products and then they put it out online and the market kills it in no time. And if you only make 4% on something, no one's going to advertise it. No one's going to pay for a Google ad on it. No one's going to get out of bed interested to sell the product, and essentially the product will die. So, we're putting that market information into the hands of the brands to make sure that the hard work in developing products doesn't get killed by online retail as well. So we want them to take some responsibility and stay informed on what's going on with their products. And you can't price fix, but you can choose who sells and buys products. You can choose who gets deals, and you can have a healthy outlook on what the people who are buying from you are doing. You look after them and they make money. They'll look after you and you'll make money.
So you're speaking from the sort of brand perspective there of which retailers and channels you trade through.
You got a red brand and a blue brand. They're competing for the same business. They're using the same retailers. They need to make sure that when their products go out for sale online, that the value of that brand stays in the product. And unfortunately, with drop-in and not very good pricing tools that just sink it to the bottom, the inevitability of most products is that they die a death at some point. I think it's important for brands to to kind of take some responsibility in the sense that they need to watch what's going on with their products and make sure that the value proposition of their product stays where it should do. So we're working just as closely with brands with the data that we collect from the market as we are with the retailers. And I think if everyone works together and keeps an eye on what's going on, it'll be a healthier market for everyone.
What's your most controversial prediction for the future of retail?
I think AI is got to be the biggest thing that's going to come. There's nothing bigger other than an economic collapse potentially. So if I was going to pin like any big thing happening in the future, it's going to be AI.
When you say AI, obviously we've talked pricing tools. Other elements of AI are going to be, and potentially buying agents. What other uses of AI stick out to you as really crucial or game changing?
I think it will be in almost every single element of the e-commerce process. The customer service is obviously the first one that will come because of the chatbots. But there's things now that will watch your screen and learn repetitive things and then do them for you. So any sort of repetitive work will be transferred to a bot. The robots in the warehouse are going to do the picking, the packing, the dispatching. We're going to have AI delivery drivers. So it will be manless cars delivering, drones probably dropping it on the doorstep. I can see robots and AI taking up from the creation of the site all the way through to the hand delivery. Every single element there will be AI in it. It'll come in stages. I think it'll be customer service first. Robots are already there in warehouses everywhere.
And do you think that's universally a good thing and the right end goal? Or do you think there are some elements that should remain human?
I think the branding side of things has got to remain human. People buy from people, even though it might be robots buying from robots. I think if you're building a brand of your own, like for us with Pricemaster, or if you're building your own hot tub or ice bath, it comes from the person. And if there's a story behind that, then I think people will identify AI marketing fake stuff a little bit more. And I don't think they'll mind if it delivers it. And I don't think they'll mind if it's an automated email back, as long as they get the response that they want. But I think when it comes down to the authenticity, that's one thing that AI doesn't have. It's not authentic. It's artificial in itself. So I think it's going to come down to humans buying from humans and building a bit more of a human brand.
Awesome. Thanks, Reid. Just wondering, if you look back at your career with TCD and now Pricemaster, building a wholesaler, a retailer, now a SaaS product, or AI as a service, which I suppose is category. What are some of your craziest stories? What are the wildest times that have happened, or the biggest setbacks?
Lots and lots over a long period of time, small scale, big scale. I think the biggest one for me was we got a license agreement with Turtle Wax a couple of years ago now, and we spent a long time getting that right, getting the license agreement, building the products, building the range, speccing everything, marketing everything. And then we bought containers and containers of the first load of stock to come over. And it landed literally the day COVID hit and we went into lockdown. And it was, for me at the time, I built networks for people like FFX and people in my area to sell the products. And then it was literally that day, like it was shut down and then the containers arrived. And I thought, I've done it. I've sank the company. We've got thousands of pressure washers. We're done. This is before furlough was a thing and, essential workers was a thing. So we really didn't know what was going to happen. So that was pretty intense. But the outcome of what actually happened from that was that everywhere shut down, but the sun came out. Every single person was in their garden and every single person wanted a pressure washer. We put it on eBay and we sold out in like a month and a bit. And because everyone was furloughed, I was in the warehouse on my own pretty much, shipping every single one out of the container. And it actually turned into a positive when we did really well that season on the pressure washers. At first, I thought it was done. I thought I'd ruined everything. So it was a roller coaster, you could say.
That is proper founder hustle. So you deserve high level success you're getting for in the house by yourself and sending load of very needy people pressure washers.
Pressure washers, yeah, lots of them, yeah, and loads of people ran out of stock as well. So it was almost like a perfect storm at that point. With like, I think Karcher and all the big brands sold out. We shot up to like the number one product on eBay for a couple of days, and it was crazy. That was probably the biggest and craziest and the closest to going tits up.
And anything else you want to share with our audience before we start?
No, it's been any chance I get to sort of talk about tech and stuff is always fun. And I'm loving the insurance tech and what we've got going on. I hope the customers like it, and maybe we should circle back in a year and do another one and see where we are.
Sounds great, Reid. Always happy to talk tech with you, and thank you for coming on the Retailers Detail podcast.
I appreciate it. Cheers.